Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tom Worth Jr. Wanted to talk a little bit about the attempted severance of the 75-year-old, almost 76, NATO alliance. And I had a video last, probably summer, maybe early fall, around the 75th anniversary of NATO. It was just a monumental achievement. It still is. It is what resulted in a lasting peace in Europe after millennia of warfare. And this is what Vladimir Putin has always tried to drive a wedge between. Between not just in America itself, I think that was step one, driving a wedge between Americans so that he could get Donald Trump into the Oval Office, and then use Donald Trump to further drive a wedge between the United States and Europe. That is Putin's real objective, is to sever that partnership, that military alliance. And he goes to great lengths to do this, and he's very nearly achieved it. And European leaders had an emergency meeting today in Paris, and Macron is the one who was hosting everyone, and just a lot of people were there meeting. They've seen the writing on the wall. They can no longer count on the support of America under Donald Trump. It doesn't mean it's gone forever, but it is gone for Donald Trump. And so a precondition of any ceasefire or ending the war talks in Ukraine was always, what kind of security guarantee would Ukraine get? Would it be from the United States? Would it be from NATO? Now that's all called into question. Not only would the United States provide a security guarantee or not, but the question of, even if they do, can you trust Donald Trump? You cannot. You cannot trust him any more than Vladimir Putin now. The list is long of world leaders, bad guys, who just don't do what they promise to do, or do what they promise not to do. We're aware of the modern ones, with Putin, with Hitler, with, take your pick. But Donald Trump has become that guy. With the unilateral withdrawal of aid, of government programs, just leaving people in the lurch to fend for themselves, saying the United States is no longer an empire of trust like ancient Rome was. We are no longer a country that can be taken at our word, even though the country itself has obligations. I, Donald Trump, can and will and do end those relationships at my whim, and my country does nothing to stop me. That's where we're at right now. So Europe has rapidly realized it all came to a head in Munich this weekend, but not just with J.D. Vance's remarks, but also other American officials that were there in side conversations, that they are all on the same page with each other. The Americans are, that this is the way it's going to be now. It's not just J.D. Vance being an idiot saying they need to welcome the far right party into German politics. They cannot do that. This far right party is sympathetic to Putin. They support Putin. And this is why Putin wants J.D. Vance. You wonder, why on earth at a Munich security conference, when Ukraine is top of mind for everyone, there's a conference they do every year, and for the last 3 years it's been Ukraine. I believe the invasion started during this conference 3 years ago, or either right at the end of it or right as it was starting, and it shocked everyone. Why would J.D. Vance, when everyone is so eager to hear where Trump stands on Ukraine, and what are Trump and Putin going to do, where's Europe going to fit in, where's Zelensky going to fit in? This is what everyone wanted to hear. in Munich. And J.D. Vance comes in and delivers a speech about censorship in Europe and censoring the far right. And why can't this far right extremist party have a seat at the table with German government? They have elections like this week or next week, and people are going, why where did this come from, and who is JD Vance to lecture us on censorship? Because they can say and do what they want in Europe and in Germany in particular, with the exception of Nazi stuff. That is still not, that's not allowed, that's not acceptable. And then you realize that J.D. Vance himself was nothing but a mouthpiece for Putin in all of this. That it was just sending a signal. Like, it wasn't like, they're wondering where this came from. It was Putin wanting to demonstrate that Vance too, not just Trump, but also Vance, also the entire Trump administration, Trump's America, is under my control now. I control, I deliver, I set the message delivered by the United States to you all Europeans here in Munich. That is very much the message that was sent by Vladimir Putin. And J.D. Vance gleefully delivered this message. So where does that leave Europe? Well, it left them scrambling, and it left them in shock and horror and disbelief. They have already greatly increased their spending to NATO. It would never be enough. Trump is the classic, I know I said you needed to go from 2 to 3%. Well, how about 3 to 5%? Oh, you're going to do 5% now? Well, that's not enough. It's got to be 8%. That's where he would land. And right now he's landed on 5% for now. But Europe doesn't need Trump's instigation anymore. They now realize they are in a post-American supported NATO world, at least for the next 4 years. And they cannot have this. So in a way, it's good that they have woken up finally. They saw this coming. They just, like so many people, just the shocking swiftness with which it arrived, and at the direction of Vladimir Putin every step of the way. It caught people off guard. So they reacted swiftly. They met in Paris. They're figuring out what to do. This is not just about not being at this first meeting in Saudi Arabia with Marco Rubio and his Russian counterpart, Lavrov, I believe it is. But I saw David Petraeus today discussing things, and he did point out that you're not going to have 30 European countries there in the room with the United States and Russia in Saudi Arabia. You do have to start out with a small group, but you should have had some sort of European representation there. And there isn't. So when the time comes, yes, Zelensky's not going to surrender. He's not going to allow Russia to just have everything that they currently have with no hope of ever getting it back. But it sounds like we're still a ways away from this, from what it looks like. And I don't see Marco Rubio doing anything but taking notes on whatever Vlad wanted him to know. They're just in listening mode right now. The United States is with Russia. They're taking dictation right now. Europe is no longer taking dictation. The question is, if you have a partner who can suddenly, depending on who's being elected, no longer be good for their word, which is what the United States now is. What if you sweep this Congress out? What if 2 years after that you sweep this president out and his party out, and you go back to someone normal? Can Europe ever rely on that partner again? I would say no. And that's the tragedy of what Putin has accomplished through Donald Trump, because the trust is enough. If you can trust the other party, and you always have that trust, maybe you're disappointed sometimes, or maybe things aren't quite as what they were promised, but at the end of the day, I trust you. I know we are on the same page and we will get through to something. When that trust is gone, I don't believe you can ever get it back again. It's kind of miraculous that European nations largely have that trust with one another, considering what they did to each other for the first half of the 20th century and for centuries before that, always trying to take each other's countries over and subjugate each other. But they eventually, decades later, arrived in a place where they do trust each other and depend on one another and rely on one another. And it took a long, long time. It took them all disarming under the security umbrella of the United States. It took the larger threat of the Soviet Union right next door with all their nuclear arsenal pointed at them. I mean, it took a lot to develop and build that trust, but they got it. And it's not there anymore with Europe and the United States. And I don't know how you get it back. Because what we now know about our country is that we cannot be taken at our word, and that we are one person away from undoing everything that America is. And that person is Donald Trump. There will be another person, whoever it is. I don't know who it is. Is it going to be a constitutional amendment to allow Elon Musk? No, they can't pass an amendment. They don't have the numbers. Is it going to be Trump's own son? Is it going to be Trump's own daughter? These are the things we don't know. But we are always only, and this is the realization we have, we are always only one person away from not being the United States of America anymore. And that's where we're at now. This is what Europe realizes. This is what Putin already knew. And it's not a good place to be. Watching more Munich aftermath today and last night a little bit, both encouraged and discouraged. Discouraged at the reality, but encouraged that Europe, as I knew they would not sit there and take this. They are going to act. And they know that they need the United States, but they also can't afford to wait on the United States. And whatever we promise, whatever we commit to, they cannot trust that anymore. So mission accomplished here in the United States by Vladimir Putin in 2016, once again in 2024, and now here in 2025. Dude's on a roll, and that's where we're at tonight. Have a good night, y'all, and we'll talk tomorrow.